Welcome to REST, which stands for Resiliency and Empowerment Seminar today. I am your host, Susan Gans, and I am the founder of Gans Strategic Solutions, where we operate at the intersection of human behavior and business. This show is about hearing from leaders of small, mid-sized businesses as well as nonprofits. We hear about their journeys as well as their organizations, and very importantly these days, about how they're being resilient. I am so excited to speak to Amelia Tyagi today. A bit about Amelia. She is the co-founder and co-CEO of Business Talent Group. She previously was a management consultant and an entrepreneur and is a nationally recognized writer. Amelia co-founded Health Allies, a venture capital-backed health benefits firm, which was later acquired by United Health Group, the second largest health insurer in the United States. She has completed numerous consulting engagements, first as an engagement manager at McKinsey & Company, and later as an independent consultant. She is the co-author of the best-selling books, The Two-Income Trap and All Your Worth. She has written for the Harvard Business Review, Time, USA Today, and other publications on a variety of topics, including the U.S. economy, healthcare, and women in work. She was a regular commentator for the nationally syndicated radio show Marketplace. Amelia is also the chairperson of Fuse Corps, a leading nonprofit that enables local governments to leverage independent professionals to more effectively address the biggest challenges facing cities today. And she's also the former chairperson of Demos, a prominent progressive think tank. She holds a BA from Brown University and is a fellow Wharton grad and has her MBA from Wharton, and she currently lives in LA. So welcome, Amelia. It's so great to have you.
Thank you, Susan. I'm thrilled to be here.
Wonderful. So take us back in time. Tell us about the early days of your career and what your thoughts were, and how did you go from consultant to writer to entrepreneur a few times over?
Sure, I'm happy to. Look, the nonlinear careers are the best. I'll say that just right out of the start. Not that I'm biased. I got my MBA at Wharton, was recruited to McKinsey. I thought I'd land in New York after Wharton, and McKinsey brought me out to LA. I had never set foot in LA. I grew up in Texas and then was on the East Coast for a lot of years getting educated. And LA caught my heart and I never left. It has been here ever since. McKinsey was a wonderful place to start your career. Terrific education, saw the world, saw the business world, and then the first .com boom called me. And entrepreneurship called me. That was my real calling. I didn't want to consult my whole life. I wanted to make things happen and shake it up. So raised money, venture capital, raised a lot of money, and launched an e-health company in the early days of e-health, reinvented it with our partners a couple of times. I had 5 co-founders, and then eventually United Health acquired Health Allies, but along the way I had my first baby. And like a lot of women, that was another detour for me. So I left Health Allies and went in this crazy project of writing a book. Really different, got completely interested, teamed up with my co-author, co-authored The Two-Income Trap, loved that project, all around economics and families, and then co-authored a second book, and then went back to consulting, teamed up with who would later turn into my business partner, doing independent consulting out in the world. Had another kid, and then launched Business Talent Group. And here I am today, and I look forward to telling you more about it.
Fantastic. I want to ask you about the journey, particularly of entrepreneurship, going from a very structured McKinsey to then going to Health Allies, and then again to writing a book and being disciplined about how many pages you write per day and getting inspiration. Can you tell us about those inflection points?
It's a great question. I mean, McKinsey is great training because it forces you to move fast, come up with a hypothesis, and really figure out what the problem is you think you're trying to solve. So it is good training, that kind of consulting training for any later career that you want to do. It also helps you be a little bit fearless. I remember walking in as a 25-year-old, not knowing much about much, and you know, fake it till you make it, right? You had to move really fast and be able to impress and make an impact, and you didn't have time. You couldn't figure it out. You had to move quickly. And entrepreneurship has some of that in case. You have to have a strong hypothesis. You got to just go for it. The big difference is when you don't know as an entrepreneur, you do it anyway. You don't get to say we don't have a recommendation here, and you don't get to just walk off. You live with every decision that you make. I loved that. Jump in, figure it out, make a decision, make a mistake, and try again. Writing a book was different and wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I had a co-author, which helped me. That's how I like to write. Not everybody, that's their choice. But I've always had partners. I'm a co-CEO. I have partners in everything I did. When I was an entrepreneur earlier, I had partners. I really like to have that collaboration and people around me. And having a partner to write the book really helped me stay disciplined and go back and forth. And we were daily partners. We would literally, my partners on the East Coast would get up and write in the morning. I would write in the afternoon, and we would sort of turn things around at that level very quickly.
Wow. And the collaboration is something that I also resonates with me as an entrepreneur. I collaborate with a number of different people. So I agree with you. It's having like the best of both worlds. You have your support system and a sounding board, and two heads always better than one. So tell us now about Business Talent Group and how that formed, and taking your partnership from the book partnership to the world that you're in now.
Sure. So my partner and I were working as independent consultants. She was a seasoned executive in the media industry. I, of course, was an experienced management consultant out of McKinsey. And we got pulled in to do consulting project work. And our client said to us, this is great. This is higher quality than what I get at a consulting firm because you actually know something and you're laser focused. I don't have a giant team in here. You're giving me exactly what I need. It's a better price. Where can I get some more? And we said, that sounds like a real business. And we launched Business Talent Group. The initial vision is true still today. We are making opportunities for the very best high-end talent in the world who want to work independently, project-based opportunities, and who want a different kind of relationship with work. And we just saw a massive gap in the market, that it is hard for executives when they need help on something that doesn't fit the standard boxes. They don't necessarily need a permanent hire. They don't want to go call a recruiting firm. They don't necessarily want a McKinsey. It's a very different footprint, different kind of expertise, that we are the marketplace for high-end independent professionals who can be available on demand.
Which is so needed in this gig economy, now the flexible economy, here words of future of work. So now that we're in this global pandemic and work is very fluid, can you talk to us about how you and the company have been resilient during this time?
Sure. Like everyone, as the pandemic first hit, we didn't know what to expect. I mean, one of the things we worried about is, would all of our projects be canceled? A lot of the consultants work on site. As you can imagine, these are big projects, high stakes. And what we found was, not only did clients continue, everybody had to adapt. It all went remote. There were a couple of weeks of a lot of hiccups, a lot of confusion. And then virtually all the projects continued. And actually what we've seen is massive more levels of extensions than we normally see. And I think it's a dynamic that executives need help. This is a really trying time on executives in the corporate world. And if they have found someone they have trust in, they hold on. They can get help in a different kind of way right now. But in other ways that we adapted, we closed our offices, moved everyone virtual. We had a lot of cultural adaptations to that, as you can imagine. We shifted around on what industries to focus on, where to double down, where to pull back. We shifted on our messaging, on our go-to-market, probably like every company has. And the thing is, it's not just a one-time shift. I mean, I really think there was a moment in the initial pandemic where you needed one set of messaging and one approach. I think we're now in phase 2, and I'm guessing phase 3 is going to be around the corner. But we have to continue to reinvent and have finger on the pulse of this market.
I love how you didn't sit still. You pivoted like everybody else. You reimagined. You figured it out, and that seems very key. I want to ask further about something you had mentioned just now with respect to the executives really needing help and some different type of help at this time. Can you talk about the themes or the challenges that you're seeing that executives are having?
Sure. I think well, some of that is industry specific, as you can imagine. Um, we saw, gosh, I mean, folks in retail and hospitality, their whole industry has been upended massively,
Yes.
just massively. I think they're closer to a real crisis mode, and so needing, help in how you navigate a crisis. Um, we saw in that world, though, everything's got to be digital at a whole level, different level. And we saw it in other industries as well, but particularly there that, folks who had been working on digitization, digital transformation was one of 10 projects. Now it's one of 1 project. It's number 1 on the list. You have to be compelling in the market, able to succeed digitally in a whole different way. Some of the other things just seeing with executives, I think, again, thinking through different industries, every industry has been impacted. Healthcare, how to change in the market, how to make sure you've got the equipment on site you need, how to retrain people. Life sciences, what happens to clinical trials in a world where people can't see each other in the same way? Can you still have the same kind of relationship with doctors? How does that evolve? Do you need to move more digital? Even manufacturing, I mean, on and on. So some of this is industry specific, but the broad themes around massive, fast change for executives and how to
Yes.
help them navigate and lead with empathy, I think. How to help them through this period are themes that we hear.
Yes, I love that, leading with empathy, because that is something people really need, that human connection right now, and also that certainty, so that when a leader shows up and provides structure in a chaotic world, that provides some level of certainty and comfort, and that there needs to be strength in that. So that leads me to my next question is, how do you empower yourself and how do you empower others?
Wow, this is a great question, Susan. How to empower others? I think empowering others is around listening and respect. And I always try to do the mental exercise of, if I weren't involved here, would this go in the right track? And if it is, let it go. Right? It doesn't have to be the track that I would have chosen exactly, but will it land in the right place? How to empower myself. This is all about confidence. It's all about trying to tell yourself, you know what, you know how to do this, and if you don't, you'll be able to fix the mistake. I mean, entrepreneurs have to be able to do that. Have to be able to go out on the limb, and then when it breaks, catch the next limb.
Let's talk more about that because that I think is something we didn't learn in business school so much. Now they probably talk about it more, but is learning from the mistakes and being okay. It doesn't have to be perfect and you can shift course as you need to. Can you talk more about that? Because you certainly have had many opportunities to shift and change.
That's a great question. I'm not sure it is something you can learn in school. And I'm not sure it's something you ever learn once and then get okay with. If you're a high achiever, power self type A, whatever you want to call it. So, go easy on yourself for not going easy on yourself. I would never say that I'm, relaxed about my mistakes. They do keep me up at night and I do churn on them, but they are a fact of life. And, you know, being able to pivot, figuring out when it makes sense to double down in something that's been hard and when to let it go. Those are probably the hardest decisions an entrepreneur has. They're also hard when they're attached to human beings, um,
Absolutely.
which they usually are. And that again, I'm not sure you can learn that at school.
So, over the course of time, have you had a combination of mentors and sponsors along the way who have um, that you can lean on to get advice and to uh, sort out some of those challenges that you might have?
Oh, sure. You can't do it without that. I mean, I've been blessed to have great partners. And to me, in some ways, partners are, I wouldn't say better than mentors, but someone to talk to that if you have a really good relationship with your partner, you can talk to them about anything and really push yourself and challenge. But also, we have had an amazing board and set of advisors for our business, many of whom are that kind of trusted relationship, people really senior in the world and who just want our success, which is really key. Some boards are more contentious and have different objectives and so on, but the people are just in it for our success.
That's so important because um, the journey at the top, right? Being at the top can be lonely sometimes. So to have those partners, the board and advisors that are all aligned on the goals to see BTG and the individuals succeed is so important. So, what advice would you give to your younger self with the perspective you have now? If you had to go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
Uh, what would I tell my younger self? Um, I would tell myself to go a little easier on myself. I would say it's going to work out. I'm not sure I would have listened to myself if you can imagine that. I do think a nonlinear career works out, and I think you can fret that a lot. But I see, I'm in a business now working with people with amazing nonlinear careers, and life is short. You got to do what you love. You can't just calculate what you think is going to get you to some next rung. And so I just said, keep reaching for a brass ring and don't worry if you miss sometimes.
That is such fantastic advice. So I'm repeating it because I want our listeners to hear it, and that is to go easier on yourself. And it's okay if you don't have that step ladder career, it's okay to go like this. And it's also okay to recognize that you can do things that you love and you don't necessarily have to follow somebody else's path. Do what's right for you, I think is what you're suggesting.
Oh, I think that the careers driven by passion are the best ones. They give you the best life. I also think, I've always believed people love to do what they're good at.
Yes.
If you're not that good at it, it's not that much fun.
100% because it's your energy gets all is higher and how you show up is more of an attractor than when you're uncomfortable doing something and you don't like it. It shows up, right, in different ways. So, what would you like people to remember about our conversation today, Amelia?
Wow. Well, listen, I built a business talent group around high-end professionals who want a different relationship with work. We are a marketplace with people from all over the world with all different kinds of skills. So I have seen people, worked with people with just amazing sets of the most varied careers. And if you can imagine it, if you are great at something and you love to do it, you can build a career around that. The independent life, from what I see, is growing like crazy out there. It's the fastest growing segment. The high end gig worker, as you called it, is the fastest growing segment within that. I'm not sure people know that. So the opportunity to grab your own career and shape your own path, let it be nonlinear and do what you love, those are great opportunities, and I see people really flourishing.
So again, passion fueling careers that you can craft and create your own career via this independent path that Amelia is talking about with her company, BTG, Business Talent Group. And Amelia, how can people find you in BTG?
Sure, come to businesstalentgroup.com, and there we are, the easiest place to find us.
Awesome. And are there any other social media sites, or is that the
Oh,
main
sure, we're
one
on
you?
LinkedIn as well, but I figured that was easiest to remember the website.
Okay, businesstalentgroup.com it is. Amelia, thank you so much for sharing your journey today. It was very inspiring to hear about what you said about people pursuing their passions and being um, confident and okay with having a nonlinear path. It's what people have chosen to do, and it's that power. I think that is very exciting. So thank you again. And to our audience, remember to be authentic to yourself and to follow your passions, and you can make the career that you want. Until the next conversation.